future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon here out of the Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, California with UBN Radio TV, that's Universal Broadcasting Network, and then every Thursdays at 7, Saturdays at 6 on my CNBC, NBC News Radio channel, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere on iHeartRadio, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, and now Spotify as well. And this is a show about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K words at all. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. And we're going to start out today with my peace in, peace out shout outs. World peace through inner peace. Thank you to Chris Van Nest and Tiffany and Jennifer of Press LA for a fabulous invitation the other night to the Beverly Hilton to cover the Share Inc. 65 annual Boomtown Gala, raising funds for underprivileged children. So go to share4children.org. If you missed it, you can go to my YouTube to see my fabulous interviews with the Righteous Brothers, and Martha Reeves and the Vandellas actually not just gave me a soundbite on the carpet, but they rose to the challenge because I told them I had interviewed Sherry Payne from the Supremes and she had sung for me, so they both serenaded me. So go to my YouTube to definitely see those interviews on my red carpet playlist, as well as Nichelle Nichols, who recognized me, which is always nice, from Star Trek, Lieutenant Uhura, and the president and chairman of Share Inc., as well as the chairman of the board, both of them beautiful women, and one of them's a Kardashian. So I did say the Kardashian, but this was like a different context. So they're doing great things, raising a record. I think it's over 80,000. I think it may be even closer to 100,000 this year. That was their record they were hoping to get for children's charities that don't usually get government funding. So they're a tremendous support on that level. There was dancing and singing. This year's honoree was Laureen Arbus, who's a pioneer for women in show business, starting Lifetime, Showtime, and more. And my past guest, super lawyer Gloria Allred, was her presenter, and she told me in the end of the interview when I asked her, so what next, she turned and said, well, maybe Oprah should be calling herself the African-American Dr. Marissa. So that was kind of fun. I hope not too many people hear that. But anyways, flashing piece here with actor Matthew Modine, Nigel Lithgow, who's the producer and judge of So You Think You Can Dance, the Hiltons, yes, of the hotel kind, Laura Sangiacomo from Pretty Women and More, NCIS, and the MC Natalie Lander, star of ABC's The Middle. And I have to give a huge, beautiful peace in, peace out shout out to someone that was at my dinner table. He is Lenny Aaron. He's 101 years old. His picture's on the very first one that I gave you there at the bottom. He's the co-founder of Aaron Brothers Framing, and he sold it for $200 million. And he's so fabulous, down to earth, and was flirting with me. So there you go. Also, a peace shout out to my new Mahjong buddies, Evan and Christina. And for those of you who saw the promo last week, the guest that was supposed to be here today was the co-founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation, Frank Shankwitz, and the bad news is he had to take care of some medical things. The good news is he will be on. We're reorganizing a date. We may even get him in studio instead of on Zoom. But I thought, well, I wonder what guest I'm going to get. And every time I say that, a beautiful thought pops in my mind. And being that it's still Mother's Day month, one of my newest friends, social media is wonderful for connecting people, especially when they keep liking your posts and you keep seeing their name. And I looked at it and she said, we got to get together one of these days. And I'm like, yes, when our schedules, and we couldn't get it. And I thought she would be the perfect replacement guest today. So I'm going to introduce her, Dr. Nelly Farnoody-Zahiri. Did I do okay?
Farnoody.
Okay, well, I didn't do well. Is an author, keynote speaker, and a licensed clinical psychologist who specializes in working with cross-cultural families in the greater Los Angeles area. Her expertise is in the area of mindfulness, Eastern and Western integration, cross-cultural psychology, attachment parenting, conscious parenting, peace learning, conflict resolution, peace training, and leadership. She's the author and founder of the International Center for Peace Learning and the producer and host of the Family Mom Talk LA TV online and at Andisha TV. Please welcome to my studio, Dr. Nelly. And a special bonus, and she might be piping up later, her beautiful daughter, Chloe. And y'all know my oldest daughter's name is Chloe, so what are the chances of that? And she'll pop in screen a little bit later, but we'll get a little applause for Chloe. This is for you. Pop over and get in the camera for a second and wave. Can we see her? There she is. Yay. All right. She's going to man my Dr. Marissa page. So if you are actually on the UBN page and I'm not watching the what do they call that? The typing there. The comments. Thank you. But I will be having Chloe work today, and she's going to be on Dr. Marissa Facebook page. So if you're not there right now, go and watch and listen there. Go to Dr. Marissa, give me the finger, a thumbs up, and then you'll be able to see it. And if you have any questions as we're talking today, we're going to try something new and actually respond. So I don't usually do that, but since I have some slave labor here, child slave labor, then we're going to use her and have her help us. All righty. So here we go. I have a friend who doesn't have an answering machine. She has a questioning machine. And when you call her, it says, "Who are you and what do you want?" So, Dr. Nelly, who are you and what do you want?
Great question. It's an existential question, isn't
Yes.
it? Well, I am a mom. And I'm on a mission to cultivate more peace, inner peace and outer peace, and to find sort of my place in this universal consciousness quest. And I am open-hearted and open-minded and willing to learn. And I have focused on sort of peace on this learning journey since motherhood.
Since motherhood. Yeah. So before motherhood?
Not so much.
No. What was the event that kind of like pushed you into peace?
The birth of our twins. When I held them, the minute I locked eyes and gazed and felt the skin-to-skin connection, it was an awakening.
That peace is something that we should all be more focused on, or you in particular,
Yeah.
in family and out of family.
Yeah. Every time it makes me, like, I get teary about it because I remember the feeling. And I remember always wanting to learn about healthy families and how to cultivate wellness and health and, mental health. But at that moment, it was so clear that I thought, okay, well, what now?
Yeah.
Show me the way, God.
Right.
I started praying. pray.
Right, right. And ask and you shall receive, right? So you're doing a lot of different work in all of those areas, as I read. So I know one of the questions that came early this morning, actually I woke up with it, is a practical one. I know there's moms out there right now with it seems like every other day there's some killing, shooting, violence around the world, violence at home, school shootings, and the kids know that we can't shield them. How do you talk to them about that when it happens?
In an honest and warm-hearted way.
Okay.
I think I've been tuning in more into finding a peaceful place within to make sense of it first on my own. And that's through meditation and just sitting with it and not reacting. I think just finding that spaciousness within, the time that we hear bad news or we hear something traumatic or we're exposed to illness or whatever the harm is, and the place where we're actually feeling relief or feeling some healing or feeling a response that is nurturing and loving and peaceful. Right. And so expanding that space or finding my place in that space first, just like, being on an airplane that is about to crash and you have to kind of stabilize yourself. So finding myself first and then moving on to the next step, which is now let's take care of the children.
Right. So I'm going to do something spontaneous here. Chloe, do you mind sitting close to your mom for a second? And we're going to actually do this in a not a role model way, in a real way. So do you listen to the news?
I mean, no.
No. Do you hear about things that happen in the world that are bad? Like, what was the last thing that you heard that was, like, horrible?
Like, I hear, like, a lot of, like, stuff where, like, people are, like, crashed in, like, these random cars and, like, bombs and, like, war.
And what's your reaction to that?
And I don't like it.
Okay. And what do you ever ask your mom questions about that?
Sometimes.
What do you wonder about that? Do you wonder why those things happen?
I wonder why, like, they're talking about bad stuff, and I'm wondering why they don't talk about good stuff.
I like her. So I'm glad you brought that up because, there's a gazillion pieces of news that could come on the news, right? It's actually, some people call it the olds because there's nothing new. And the rule is if it bleeds, it leads. So there's something about human beings, and we can't blame it all on the media, right? Because we gravitate towards it. So they're trying to get their, attention. So they'll put something on that we know we're going to go, oh no, right? So that I heard, and I looked it up, we are there's less violent crime now that in the history of mankind right now than there ever has been. Isn't that great? Isn't that awesome? Yeah. So wouldn't it be nice if there was a show that balanced out all the negative news with all the positive news? Wouldn't that be great? Do you know a show like that?
No.
Oh. This is the show. That's why you're talking. Because you know that there's a lot of... What good stuff is happening right now that you know of around the world? Have you heard of people going and teaching people in third world countries how to farm and how to irrigate and how to grow things? There's a lot of people moving around the world helping build. Did you know that? Is your mom someone that's helping with kids and more peace and love?
Yes.
Yes, so that's two. Do you know any talk show radio hosts that are? No, we're not going there. So that's the first thing. that I would like to you to remember. So when you have friends that come and say, "Did you hear that horrible thing? And it was probably a bad person, and they were probably a terrorist, and they were probably from, one of those bad countries." What can you say to them?
Um,
How about, we don't know for sure the facts. We don't know for sure.
yeah.
Right? Because news is not always like, truth, right? So let's wait and see what the truth is. Yeah. Sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can tell she's already, you're doing a good job, because she's not even going into the, the drama of the hate and the difference and the devaluing, which is so good. I'm so proud of you, Chloe, and proud of you, Mom. That's great. That means you're practicing what you're teaching.
Thank you.
And it's, Brother Ishmael Tete is one of my teachers too, and he said, we could get to world peace in one generation if we raised our children right now with no violence, with a peaceful way to resolve conflict.
Amen.
Like just one generation. That's all it's going to take. So I'm hoping it's this generation. I hope you are the peace generation. How's that for, instead of a Gen X or a Gen Y, you're a peace generation? Yeah?
Yeah.
Can we do that? We're just coining it today. You are now a member of the peace generation. Like it?
Yes.
And I think you're going to be a leader in that peace generation. I have a feeling. Wonderful, wonderful. So when you work with the children as a global children's advocate, what kinds of work are you concerned with? Like, what can we be aware of and support?
Well, I know Common Sense Media is an organization.
That sounds like an oxymoron, but let's go with it. What is that?
Common Sense Media is an organization that is dedicated and committed to helping parents navigate through the technology and the media. And so what I find very helpful are the meetings and the community sort of tribes that you create, whether you're an educator or a psychologist or a mom and work with technology. It's a nice way to have these conversations. It's a brain trust where the adults get together and talk about challenges as a community. And it can be one of those global sort of platforms where we get together and share ideas and look at how the content of media is evaluated, not just by experts, but also by the teens and the peers. So once you become sort of involved or a member of Common Sense Media, then you can share as a tween or teen your experiences of the media. It's kind of Yelp for media. And
Love it.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful. And so I think a platform like that for our generation, parents, is very helpful. It will bring more peace to our technology world, especially because I know many parents struggle with it, including myself, on a daily basis.
Yep.
Too much information, not enough information, how to navigate through just the use of technology.
Right, right. Can you pull that up, Common Sense Media? See what
CommonSenseMedia.org.
Yeah.
So on a local level, I think finding time, and I know this is difficult because look how long it took us to get together.
Hey, this is faster than I thought it was going to happen. The clock goes off for a year, so we're like well under. And if you've just tuned in and you're wondering who I'm laughing with, you are tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. My special guest today is Dr. Nelly, who is a licensed psychologist and a global child activist, I guess I could call you that. And her beautiful daughter, little 8-year-old Chloe, pops in every once in a while into the frame. And we're talking about, because it is still Mother's Day month, about how moms can really influence peace on the planet, and in the ways that we are mothering, and in the ways, what are some things that moms are inadvertently doing that are not helping move us towards peace?
That's a great question. Well, I think for every mom to take time in finding, I know your focus is on balance, finding that balance for them. It's very individualistic. I think taking the time to find and hone down on that balance. What does it take for a mom to wake up in the morning and feel full and energized and excited about not just parenting, but also contributing to the world's peace?
Yeah.
And so if you're focused, which every single morning, Dr. Marissa, I wake up with that laser focus.
Yes.
I jump out of bed. And I'm like, okay, what am I learning today? What am I going to learn today? And how can I integrate that into then sharing and bringing peace into another family or another person's life?
Great.
So not just holding that
Yeah.
wisdom or information for me, but also sharing it with my neighbor.
Yeah.
And so it is this inside out process, and it's very challenging, and it's very active,
Yeah.
very energizing. So for every mom to tap into that energy, to want to have the intention of bringing more peace every single day.
Yeah.
It's not hopes and dreams. It's
Right.
not something to read and be inspired, but rather
Apply.
and have daily actions.
Good. Great. Great point. I have a practical exercise to emphasize that point. My children, from the time they were 4 and 6, every single morning, I would take them to school, and we would do 3 gratitudes on the way to school. And then we added a couple years later appreciation. So 3 gratitudes, general gratitudes. They didn't have to be all good, just the exercising the muscle of gratitude. And then an appreciation is what you appreciate about your sister, yourself, and your mother. And we would do that, and they did that every single day until the first one left for college 2 years ago. The little one's leaving for college this year, and I carpool, and I make the carpooler do it too when I take them in the morning, and it is the most. I'm so grateful. We'll call the older one and have it on. So if you want an exercise to really hone in and get your children to participate in tools that bring about peace, gratitude, and appreciation are definitely one of them. So do we have anybody talking yet on my Dr. Marissa? Is there anybody that said anything? I thought she was. That's okay. In the meantime, what are 3 things that you're grateful for, Chloe?
I'm grateful for my family. That's one.
Yep.
And I'm grateful for my gym because I get to learn new skills in gymnastics.
Awesome.
And my third thing is I'm grateful for my school.
Oh, nice. And what do you appreciate? What do you appreciate about your mom? What do you appreciate about me? And what do you appreciate about yourself?
I appreciate that I'm a gymnast.
Yeah.
And
that your mom is?
That my mom is Dr. Nelly.
Okay.
And
what do you appreciate about me?
You're peaceful.
Oh, thank you. I did not pay her to do that. But I will be playing that over and over again. Thank you. Xie. This is a Chinese, I teach balanced Tai Chi Gong, which is a moving meditation. So this is normally the fighting hand. I'm going to teach you something new you can teach your friends. And so you close the fighting hand, do that. So it shows you're coming in peace. And then you hold the peace like that. And then you bring it down to your heart chakra and you go, xie. Can you say xie? Beautiful. And that's my Chinese namaste. So anytime someone does something for you or says something great to you, you say, 谢谢. Got it?
谢谢.
Yeah. Not the other thing. It sounds close to something else, but it's not that. Beautiful. Thank you. So so Dr. Nelly, when people come and, okay, I'm going to give you a good one. So I actually had someone message me this. I am a full-time working mom, full-time caring for the kids. I get no support from anyone. And it's really difficult to think thoughts of peace when all I can think about is how am I going to make ends meet? So what do you say to someone like that?
That's a good one. I think in every family and every motherhood journey, you're going to find those challenging moments where you lose your breath and you forget who you are and you feel under tremendous stress that you're out of sync and you've lost your balance. And so in those situations, and I know for some families and parents, it's more frequent. These are I call them the red kind of brain zone, where your brain has left the green, peaceful sort of space where you're likely to be calm, receptive, and open-minded and open-hearted.
Yep.
And you've moved into this kind of hyper-excited, reactive state.
Right.
And so what I suggest is take a moment to find your breath. And I know it sounds simplistic, but oftentimes just pausing and catching your breath and taking a deep moment. Beautiful. I could feel that energy go through you. And so you take a moment to reconnect and get grounded. And remind yourself that in any chaotic moment, in any place, you could be in the midst of war and trauma. If you find your place in grounding yourself and finding your breath, that can help you get through the trauma and the pain and the suffering with a little more reassurance and calmness.
Yeah.
And so rather than reacting and being in a state where you're not finding that peaceful space, take a moment to breathe. So it's as simple as just finding your breath, catching your breath, taking a deep breath, and it could take a few seconds. And it's not going to
take time away. You're not going to lose your place in line. You're not going to destroy your future. Just taking a free breath doesn't cost anything.
A free breath and finding your mind, really, and finding that space, the mindful space in which you are able to make better decisions.
Now, it's normal, right, to be angry with children. Yes?
Yes.
So, and, it's, I remember when Dr. Shafali was actually at Agape and they were taking questions and I said, I really want to be, I'm supposed to be, right? Especially me, peace in, peace out, I'm all about peace, but I am I can be in such a good place. I'll come back from meditation and I'll see, inside out underwear on the bathroom, trash not cleaned up after and I'm just like, so coach me. What do I do?
I go through it every day.
Okay.
And Chloe will probably
attest
be a
to
good,
that.
yes. So I think I like your 88%, that sweet spot. I think giving yourself that 20 to 30% window of screwing up, and it's okay. I think allowing yourself, not being judgy towards yourself, so that's where the self-compassion comes in, that yes, I'm angry at this moment, but I also have choices to make. And if I slip and if I'm reacting, say I yell, which sometimes I do,
right.
I'm going to immediately or a little afterwards, not allowed too much time afterwards, but try and repair and catch myself, apologize. I have never apologized as much as I have during my motherhood. So lots of apologies, lots of trying to repair and connecting with your children or whoever you reacted to through a hug, through a warm hug, heart to heart. I'm sorry, I messed up, I'm stressed, and this is why. So the love and logic behind communication and building trust, and also modeling that we're human. We're about to, things bother us and we get irritated and frustrated, and it's okay to mess up.
Yeah.
That's part of the peace
time.
learning. Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right,
That's peace
right.
learning.
I'm getting the signal that it's time to break and thank our sponsors who make this show possible. So we'll be back in 2 and 2. We'll remember it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out. 4, 3, 2, 1. And another child dies. Yes, every 4 seconds, someone dies from drinking contaminated water, and that's the bad news. The good news is that the Purity filtration system provides clean, fresh, and safe drinking water, and for every 2 water bottles sold, 1 is shipped to a child in need. Contact Heshy Siegel at kidsbetterworld.com for this win-win-win, life-giving answer to contaminated water today. Are you lonely, heartbroken, hopeless? Are you taking anti-anxiety or antidepressants and still anxious and depressed and now have side effects on top of it? Then 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are was written just for you. Dr. Marissa's newest book, a cross between I'm okay, you're okay, and you're still okay, and Don't Sweat the Small Stuff and the Big Stuff will get you to happiness 88% of the time. And you will never hate yourself the same way again. Pre-order at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Books A Million. And welcome back. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balance with Dr. Marissa Pay. P for positive. Every Tuesday at naturally high noon out of the Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, California with UBN Radio TV, Universal Broadcasting Network, and on Thursdays at 7, Saturdays at 6 on my CNBC, NBC News Radio syndicated channel KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere on iHeartRadio. And today we are still celebrating Mother's Day month with a special one of my great supporters on Instagram, Dr. Nelly, who is a child advocate, licensed psychologist, and peace mom. She's on a mission to promote peace around the planet through children and moms. And we were just talking about how to manage the humanness of being a mom. And I just came up with a little bit of an angel's advocate question for you, because, when we lose it and we are as long as we don't lose it all the time and we overreact. I know I've apologized all the time too with sorry for over yelling. I've done that. But there's the part of me that says, if you didn't do that, I wouldn't be yelling. So really, it's not me, it's you. So what do you say to moms who have that kind of a reaction? And be nice.
Right. Well, I think tapping into honestly and authentically evaluating our expectations as parents. I think it's really important to every once in a while, and not just by yourselves, but also with your peers, with other moms and other parents, and not just with like-minded friends, but also a very diverse, inclusive group of mom friends or parents to check in and listen to other people's lifestyles and choices and how they're cultivating peace inside and out. And I think this is where those belly-to-belly meetups, like I know you do yoga and beach yoga, and you do a lot of Tai Chi and peace learning activities, and you build and galvanize peace learning communities within your circle of friends and beyond. I think that's just wonderful. That's a really good example of how developmentally at each age and stage you tap into, sharing wisdom and being honest about your expectations. I always say, if you want to enhance or increase happiness in your family, reduce some of those expectations. And don't put children under so much pressure that you can see happiness leave their faces, the micro expressions of happiness. I think that's really important, to be honest and take a moment, a pause where you're looking at your child and you're really paying attention to, are they happy on this journey, whether it's sports or school or spirituality, whatever journey you're on, because we're supposed to guide them, we're post-guiding them. And we're not supposed to do much of that helicopter parenting that many of us from time to time, because of fear, fall into. It's a trap. And so having the awareness to not fall into that overprotective style of parenting, to allow that free space where they can tap into that free space, feel safe about it, cultivate happiness, grow and thrive in freedom and happiness. But we also have to practice it. We can't have double standards. We can't do something and then ask them to do something else.
Absolutely. That's why I just love the balance. So we don't want a helicopter, but we also don't want to, anything goes, right? Because as soon as you say, oh, you shouldn't be so strict, then I know the perfectionist says, well, if I let them go, they're going to end up wild and shooters or whatever it is. But that's not true. There's a middle ground, right? There's a balance of some guidance, but then knowing that there's an internal being that is connected with the eternal energy, and they kind of have internal knowing of peace themselves. And I think that, going back and chastising myself for the, you made me angry. I think the best thing that I have been trying to implement in the last couple of years is nobody can make me angry. I make me angry. And piggybacking on your point of the expectations. So not saying that, the house can be completely, looking like a hoarder's house, but I'm like intbod. It's not that big of a deal right now in this moment. It's not that big of a deal. Take a breath, right, and then if it's that bad, I just have started to clean it up myself and not make it that big of a deal, because good Lord, I have tried to extort and cajole and bribe and threaten, and none of those work. So for me is to come into peace with me first, before I try to go there. So.
And also spending time on our own social emotional learning. I think as parents, we don't spend enough time on keeping, strengthening that muscle. The social emotional learning is a muscle. And so if we're not developing it, if we're not working on it and keeping it healthy, then we can't expect our children to have healthy social emotional learning. And so it is an inside-out process.
Bingo.
And,
absolutely.
We have to keep ourselves aware and knowledgeable about what social emotional learning, entails individually, as a couple. Oftentimes, I work with families where one parent has sort of healthier social emotional learning, they're stronger, and the other parent is not, perhaps. And so in their co-parenting, they run into a lot of conflict. And so just by raising awareness of where they stand and how they can support each other and how they can change those more violent types of communication into nonviolent types of communication helps the social emotional learning of the whole family. And so it is that inside out process.
Do you think the violence in the games and on in media is really negatively affecting or minimizing the ability for peace to happen at the child level? What's your view on those the games and all of that?
I think as a society, as a community, especially in the field of technology, we could do better in coming up with games that are exciting, that they enhance social emotional learning and can be interesting and cultivate more peace. So if the options are there and we're opting in, then I think I don't mind having choices because there is somewhat of a relationship, but there's no cause and effect.
Right.
And we see this in research. There are kids who play with a lot of violent games and demonstrate no signs of violence.
Okay.
And so it is that perfect storm.
Right.
So there are lots of contributors. But I would like to see more programs or more games and more technology that focus on creative solutions, coming up with creative solutions to world problems, games that kids can get excited. I know at our kids' school, they have certain games where they can engage in whether it's math or science or some type of STEM program, but also with their development as they advance, they're feeding they're, earning rice and food for some community on the other side of the world.
That's awesome.
So there's a direct relationship.
That's awesome.
And so they're encouraged, they're motivated.
Yeah.
And so types of games that enhance social connection and relationships are good.
I just had a thought while she was talking about that. If you are looking for a new product idea, I would say that the world is ready now for, instead of the war strategy games, to have a strategy game that actually applies the nonviolent problem solving that Gandhi and Nelson Mandela and all Martin Luther King, and actually have a game. I think it would be very successful right now because I think parents are looking and trying to do the switch. So the last question on that technicality is this thing, okay? This thing and the iPads, and you see parents using that more and more to for a variety of reasons. Some parents do it to babysit. That's one end of the extreme, and so they can do whatever they need to do. I'm not saying it's bad because we used to use TV too. I'm guilty. And is it bad for children to be on their gadgets a lot?
Yes.
Okay. Why? Why? I know this is a stupid question, but there are parents where, and again, I'm of the balance. So I'm not going to tell you that you should not, because there's a lot of good things that they can be doing on their gadgets, right? They're exploring, they're learning, they're investigating. I mean, my kids are brilliant on their gadgets. So I'm not going to say that it's a bad thing. But go ahead. Sorry. Do I sound a little defensive there right now?
Oh, I am too. So initially, I have more of a balanced view. And initially, I was more, on less technology is better. Now, as my kids are getting older and I see them interact with technology, I'm seeing sort of the reality of, okay, this is going to be the next generation, where they're going to be tapped into technology. They're growing up with technology. You're right. It is like our television, when we were growing up with TV. And before that, books, frankly. So I think it is going to be about the relationship, awareness within, sort of finding peace within and without. Always nice to ask children to find, put their hands on their heart and find their bodies, their individual responses to the sound sound and energy and technology and how they're interacting with technology. I always like to get a baseline of how you're sensitive to technology or how your body works with technology. And so based on that, they can modify it and make sure that they're aware. And they're very aware. Children are very aware from a very young age. So some kids are more sensitive to sound, and some more sensitive to light, and some more sensitive to, being on technology longer than more other children. And so I always say, find your baseline with your child, individual baseline.
Yes.
And then based on that, support yourself. Guide your child. It used to be for every 30 to 40 minutes you want to take a break, get up, walk around, and give your brain a break, give your body a break.
That goes for the adults too.
Yeah, goes for all of us. But I think every child is different, and I've seen some children who are very sensitive, and some hypersensitive, and some who are not as sensitive. And so as parents, I think finding that baseline and then supporting your child, use the technology in a way that supports them and their mental and physical health.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I would like to bring up, I'm trying to find it. My big brother, Michael Bernard Beckwith, sent me a text a while back with studies that confirm that if you give an iPad in without putting it on airplane mode, it can cause physical damage to the brain. So we want to make sure that we do that public service announcement that it's actually was presented to the Senate. And it's truly amazing because it's also been proven that if you put your phone in your bra, you develop breast cancer. And yet, if someone told me this thing gave me cancer, I don't know if I could actually put it down. So just use with caution. I think that's a great, balanced sort of answer to that. Believe it or not, we're out of time. It goes really quick. But the last question I ask all my guests is, who or what are you most grateful for?
I am most grateful for this morning. This morning was very joyful and peaceful, and I'm very grateful about having this chance to be with you and have this conversation with you, and to have my daughter Chloe join us, and for you to connect with Chloe, and for us to be connected. I'm very grateful for this moment.
Beautiful, beautiful. Do you want to do one last gratitude? Come on over. What are you most grateful for?
I'm mostly grateful for my parents and my house.
Oh, that's beautiful. And do you have anything you would like to say to my listeners? You can't see them, but they can see you.
I don't know.
To have more peace in their life?
Yeah, to have more peace.
Yeah, beautiful. And do a peace in and peace out. Peace in and peace out. Do you know what that means? We're going to get to world peace through inner peace. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Dr. Nelly and Chloe. The applause. There we go. Wonderful having them in the studio. Really glad that we could make this work and also have time together. This is different than a coffee. Well, it's kind of like a coffee on the air. And we're at the end of the show. I am going to invite you to step into my balance bar. And continuing on today with every week until August the 7th, you're going to get a balance tool to practice by from my upcoming New York publisher Morgan James book, going to be in all bookstores on August the 7th. Very excited about that. 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are. So this one's from chapter 4, Out of Heartbreak into Love. It's the pregnancy model of relationships. So if you are someone that is hung up because you think things have changed and all the beautiful, lovely things that were happening at the beginning are no longer happening, and what's wrong with me or what's wrong with you, what I found is in the first trimester of relationships, it's going to be awesome. It's kind of like that glow, that early, feeling of excitement, and that's normal. And then the second semester, you're not feeling as comfortable, and you're feeling the reality of expanding and the reality of maybe the truth of the other person. And then the third trimester is when you get to make the decision on whether there is room to balance and get to the middle or not. And the reason why this model is important is because I want us to get away from blaming a person for your unhappiness in the relationship. It is a normal progress or progression through. And if at the end, around 4 to 6 or 6 to 7, the relationship is over, it doesn't mean anybody was bad or they broke their promises. It just isn't a match anymore. It is just not 80% good. It was a beautiful chapter in your book of romance. So be grateful for it, and then you can move on to your next chapter. So that's your balance tool for today. If you're ready to join the 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa, Round 84 starts June 1st. So please go to my website, the number 4balance.org. Sign up for free there, just so that at the end, which is right now, the end of round 83, if anyone has registered and now has not complained for 21 consecutive days, you get a free prize. And the prize is my motivational card pack, 52 card pick-me-up, Stacking the Deck for Life Balance with Dr. Marissa. So contact me there. As well, I will be teaching Balance Tai Chi Gong this Saturday at Rosie's Dog Beach. The class is getting bigger, so please come down. It's not just yoga, Chinese yoga. It is actually a moving meditation with a dash of life balance coaching. So if you're stuck anywhere and you want to come and learn a form to help release the blockages, you'll want to come to my class. I'm also doing a full half-day workshop just on that for a little deeper unblocking on July 14th at the Heart Space Center in Irvine. And this Thursday, I'm not teaching there because my daughter Sarah is getting a senior award at the high school. So don't show up in Irvine on Thursday. I did want to mark off Mother's Day with a poem that my daughter actually wrote for me. My daughter Chloe, who's at Cornell. Thank you for the everlasting love that cannot be defined in earthly value, but instead by the weight of the heart. Thank you for the peace of your voice that sends my worries running and strengthens the very ground that I walk. Thank you for the teachings so that I radiate knowledge beyond which I accumulate in books. Those words aren't worthy of your wisdom. Thank you for the laughter that outshines the sun in all the summer days and draws all ears near. Thank you for the happiness deeply ingrained in my bones so that even when it feels like I have nothing, I know it was a part of me when I came into this world. Thank you for the privilege of being able to call you my mother. So, okay, I'm going to cry. I am so grateful and blessed to share balance, hope and happiness, and encouragement that we can all be at peace. And next week, it is the last week of the month, and I have a special guest, and it's going to be a surprise. So you want to tune in next week for my Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa, the new Asian Dr. Ruth, because I'm determined to make pleasure a G-rated topic. So tune in next week for more hope and happiness on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa Pei. That's P for positive, E-I. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.
Take away the part of me that wants to stay. It's